All right. Welcome, everybody. This is an expert interview, and we have an exciting day today. I'm Dave Cooper, davecooper.live. We have Jennifer Castenson is going to join us. She's the VP of Programming at Hanley. So this is going to be an exciting interview. But first, I really want to say thank you to our sponsors. We can't do this without them full time. So thank you to Peter Strongberg and George Garcia at Garcia Strongberg Studios. For over 25 years, Garcia Strongberg has been involved in a multitude of projects located throughout the United States and globally. The team has a global mindset and a global approach to design, and that mindset allows them to embrace offsite construction as the desired method of construction. For them, offsite construction is the way of the future. So thanks again for Garcia Strongberg and supporting us and allowing us to bring all this great content. So why don't we jump into it and bring in Jennifer right now? Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Dave. Thank you. And thank you, Garcia Strongberg.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yes,
it's so much fun. We have so many architects and designers looking to come into the offsite space right now that it's really just amazing. And it's amazing to have partners like Garcia Strongberg. And they build some beautiful stuff. Most people's probably stayed in their resorts all over the world. So with that said, Jennifer, this is awesome. So you're the VP of Programming, Hanley Wood. You've been there for some time. We've got to know each other throughout the years, really just mainly social media. Recently, we've started just connecting and talking further. And man, I really thought that you would be such the perfect person to have on for an expert interview. So why don't you take a few moments and give everybody your background from childbirth until now, but you only have 5 minutes to do it.
All right. Well, I hope I don't take up all 5 minutes to bore you guys. So thanks again for having me, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited about the things that you're doing, and also that we have this virtual format to be talking to each other. So I am really excited about offsite construction prefab. I started my career actually in Dallas, Texas, and was working for Hillwood Real Estate and spent a couple of years there, then went into oil and gas, and then met my husband, got married, and moved to Cincinnati, where I got into the building products industry by way of a manufacturer, Organized Living. And I worked there in marketing, overseeing marketing for a little over 9 years. And then started talking to Hanley Wood, and I was at the time hiring Hanley Wood, going to the conferences, sponsoring some of the events, and started talking to their editorial staff and pitching stories to them. When I met John McManus, and John McManus recruited me into Hanley Wood to start focusing on a new event, and that was targeted on innovation in the housing space. So definitely have a huge passion for that in particular. So I started digging into what is and was innovative at the time, which is prefab and offsite construction. And so I've been able to be involved in several concept projects that were focused around modular builds, and then started writing more about it, looking into it. We have lots of sessions at our current events that are focused on prefab and offsite construction, and that's about it. I also am contributing to Forbes, and so I've done a couple articles specifically on prefab on Forbes as well.
Yeah, I mean, just that alone is amazing. How cool is that? You're contributing editor to Forbes. I love it. That's really awesome. All right, so offsite, you've had a big focus on it, as you were discussing. Let's kind of get into, what do you see as the future of offsite?
Yeah, so I think more and more builders, builders are so constrained by so many different factors, by regulation, by policies, by costs, by distribution, by tariffs, by all these different factors. And they continue to have to figure out new and effective ways to manage those costs and manage those pressures. And I see offsite as a way to do that And I see it as becoming an answer to, or a solution to some of those things that are facing and challenging builders, but also a solution to what the consumers are going to be evolving to. I see offsite builders who are creating solutions and doing a whole entire marketing and sales process online. So consumers will be able to go select the house that they want and put it in a cart and ship it to the site. And it's going to be this total package. And that's where the consumer experience is headed. And that's also a solution to what the builders are challenged by.
Yeah, I mean, there are several builders out there. In fact, I think I just saw Module release something recently where you can pick and design on their website and some things. So I do think the younger generation is going to look at this as the future and how they're going to move this forward and how they're going to buy homes just like they buy from Amazon and what have you. And once people really grasp the benefits of offsite and the controlled environment, the controlled costs and all that, I do think 100% for sure that's where it's heading. But right now, it still seems like we're struggling with the consumers and the industry as a whole with the adoption of offsite. It's moving that way. It's gaining a lot of steam. What do you think some of the challenges are that's kind of not make it happening? It's not happening overnight. Let's put it like that.
So yeah, I want to point out two very big challenges that I see. One is that that I was on a call recently with our builder advisory group, and one of our banking partners said that going to offsite construction requires the builders to invest in another massive fixed asset, which is the manufacturing facility. And that's just a huge challenge because right now, just dealing with the fact that they have to purchase land, and that's one fixed asset, is a challenge enough. But then going to needing these manufacturing facilities and maybe needing multiples across the country would be really a big deal and is a big roadblock. Another really big challenge that I want to mention is that operationally, builders have been set up to do offsite construction. So they have certain subs and they have a whole process that their whole entire team is set up to focus on. So from accounting to marketing to sales to everything, the time that it takes for the consumer to get the home, everything has been shaped around this process that has a different timeline. And so for a builder to make the transition, it's not like they're just changing the construction process. They're changing the billing. They're changing what staff they need. They're changing their relationship with contractors that they've had for decades. And so that's what I think is just going to be, that's a huge hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, for sure. It makes more sense for them to switch towards panelized, which some of them have already done. Some of them have been doing it for years already, a panelized solution. It's really like trying to have a cruise ship make a 180-degree turn. It's just not, it doesn't happen fast.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like, how do you do that when you're building as a production builder, tens of thousands of homes a year across the country?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. All right, everybody. Listen, if you're just joining us, we have the VP of Programming for Hanley Wood on, Jennifer Castenson. Jennifer, guess what? We are live on 3 locations, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. We would love it if you could hit that like and share button, please. We're trying to get the word out here. We're trying to make our building environment a better place to do so, a healthier place, and bring you innovation and also bring you experts in the industry like Jennifer. So Jennifer, let's keep rocking and rolling on this. So I agree with you on the bigger builders making the switch and making that change. But as the labor issues increase, and liability issues that come with the lack of skilled labor and things of that nature, are you seeing that more production builders are at least looking at the panelization option, or is it still kind of status quo?
So I haven't seen that. I think more it's been startups. I haven't seen a lot of people transitioning. I think it's just too much of a challenge to make that transition. But another thing that could be forcing any size of builder into prefabrication and manufacturing is affordability issues.
Right.
And so if I can share this, if you can share this screen, I'll go through that real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So our at Hanley Wood, we have our Metro Study data group, and we are partnering with Fannie Mae, and our managing principal at Myers Group, Tim Sullivan, just presented this presentation with Fannie Mae based off of the partnership that we have. But this shows that new homes are a preference for consumers right now. And there's a lot of demand, and that buyers are looking for single family homes. And during this presentation, they went through, and I can share a bit.ly link for this presentation that you guys can go watch later on, but buyers are looking for single family homes, and the affordability is a huge issue. So they go through all the details of affordability, but it landed on the fact that we've created this program with Fannie Mae called MH Advantage. And it's an affordable mortgage financing option for specific manufactured housing with characteristics typical of site-built homes. So it's a program getting builders to do manufactured. And you can see some of the details here, but like I said, we can share a bit.ly link that can get you to the whole presentation, and our partners at Fannie Mae were part of it as well. But you can see also here how this slide is very, very telling. So how manufactured homes equate in different markets versus site-built homes. So where would it be most advantageous to take this program? And you can see on the left-hand side some of those markets. But very, very interesting. I thought it'd be good content for some of your listeners, but we'll definitely share that link. And
yeah, I mean, it looks like the coast, right? I mean, we're looking at the East Coast and West Coast as being the stronger areas for offsite construction.
For sure.
Yeah, interesting. So when you partner with Fannie Mae, do you see that there's financial challenges involved for the consumer with this as well, and how they're purchasing, if there are production builders looking at doing this type of construction?
So I don't know if I can answer that question, but when you go into the affordability issues, it's just of what you're paying for what kind of home, and where you're being pushed out of certain markets because there's no affordable option. And so if this Fannie Mae program can get the right type of zoning and get builders on board to deliver these manufactured homes, then it will become more affordable in places where it hasn't been for decades, and where there's also a very large demand.
Got it. Cool. Let's head to the comments real quick. We have some things rolling in. I think we should hop on it because I have a feeling the list is going to get long, very long. All right. Good morning, David Graham, coming in from Palm Springs. Good to see you this morning, David. Always a pleasure having you on the show. All right. We got Ashley Bocard, Materials Exchange. Hello from Chicago. Danny Small. Good morning. Let's talk construction innovation. They're ready for you, Jennifer. I'm telling you, they get longer. By the end of this, somebody will write a book. You'll see. We got Shane McNutt. Hello from Ohio. Good to see you. Hey, well, guess what? Jennifer Castenson's in Cincinnati, Ohio. So you guys are both in the same state. All right, moving forward. I'm not sure who this is. Morning from the still 110 plus heat of Arizona.
Ooh, ouch.
Oh, that's James Roger. Used to be business development for Katera. I know he moved somewhere else. I'm not sure where he is right now. We got Jerry McCahey. What's happening from Integra? Good morning from a very hot California. Good to see you, Jerry. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, moving on. All right, Ashley Bocolt. Has offsite building ever thought about getting together through a program like commodity companies do through checkoff programs, basically like the Milk Campaign in the 90s, national awareness programs? Interesting. I'm not sure if I understand that question 100%, but if it's got milk, are we talking, Ashley, please confirm if you're talking about coming together as a campaign as one offsite construction unit. And one of the things that I know just from our past is we've kind of been fragmented when it's come to that. We've had great conversations with Jerry from Integra and, volumetric building companies and so forth on how we do collaborate, because it would make a whole lot of sense for the offsite umbrella as a whole to come together to really paint that picture of why offsite construction is a better way to build moving forward in a lot of instances, but it's not the only way to build. So I think I got that one right. What do you think, Jennifer? Was that the question?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was confused about it too, but I do want to say you mentioned Von Buckley and Volumetric, and they've started the MMC, which is the Modular
Mobilization Coalition.
Yes, thank you. And so I think, that's a step forward. I mean, it is definitely, but that's also like a collaboration of resources. And when I mentioned the builder advisory call, there were two national production builders who were saying, maybe there is a concept that we can, build these manufacturing facilities, and it's more than there's several builders using them. That's not quite just a PR campaign, which may have been what the Got Milk was, but it's definitely a step in the right progress that would show collaboration towards a single goal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had Vaughn and Colby on the show several times during, the pandemic and talking about the coalition and everything formed. And I agree, it should almost be set up like Amazon distribution centers, where they look at the, travel locations, collaborating together with factories is one thing, but also, if there is going to be a shift to offsite construction, shipping becomes a concern. People holding a factory, like you were talking about, like, do they want to hold land? Do they want to actually hold factories? So I do think that that's starting to take place. And I think the coalition has 20 or 30 manufacturing facilities already under its umbrella or so. So they're really gaining a lot of momentum with it, which is a great sign. But we do need more collaboration for sure.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're seeing a lot more collaboration, which is great. All right. Joel Hutchins from LAX. Oh, good. Joel, you're back from Australia. Quarantine, it sounds like. So I don't know if you guys know each other, but Joel's a good person to know. He's coming up with some technology. And why I say that is our next topic is going to be about the technology, things we were talking about prior to jumping into this. And I also see a comment from Jerry McCahey. Let me put it up. I told you they'd start writing books. The best and most proven model of offsite is not for the builder to become a manufacturer no more than they become window or kitchen manufacturer. Manufacturing and construction are completely different businesses. This is the model that is proven to work in Europe. All right. I agree with that. I agree. The outsourcing, then they don't have the liability or the overhead. It's just a matter of, can the manufacturers, and I know Jerry's answer on this, can you keep up?
Yeah.
That's the big thing in the area. All right, let's do two more and then we'll hop back into it. Jenny Melman. Hey, Jenny, good morning. There's an opportunity to introduce co-manufacturers into offsite. A builder doesn't necessarily need to manufacture their own homes to be the builder they outsource today. Multiple builders can use the same factory, perhaps similar to how it is done in other industries with shared resources. Love it. All right. Jenny, let's hop back into our conversation here. So if you guys are joining us, Jenny, we had two questions we wanted to ask. So I want everybody to think about this, right? Are there any events or things that we're not talking about, right? And maybe Jennifer, you want to clarify, that. And also, we also want to know, what is your feelings for these virtual events that are happening? Tell us, people have been on them now. There's been a couple of them out there. I think these are great questions. So those are the two questions. What are your feelings on virtual events, and what topics, correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, are we not covering that you would like to hear us talk about out there?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfect. And so as Dave said, I'm the Vice President of Programming at Hanley, which means that I do program our events, and that's for a lot of our different verticals. For our some of our architect events, for pro sales, building distribution, for our builder events, the multifamily executive, affordable housing, and our technology events. And so are there things that we're not addressing that you would like to see at our events? And also all of us are kind of struggling to go from the in-person event scene to the virtual scene. So what are you guys seeing that works? Are you getting fatigue? Are you enjoying them? I'd love to learn and then be able to adapt our programs so that they're more enjoyable for you, our audience.
Yeah, love it. All right. So listen, we still have about 25, 30 minutes left to show left. So you have plenty of time to answer and also ask us questions. This is a collaborative conversation, so to speak. As the industry is collaborating, so are we today. All right, Jennifer, let's hop back into it. We're going to talk about, technology, new technology that is, coming online with some of the new tech companies, right? We have Amazon in the space. We have Google in the space. And then we have a lot of tech startups that have turned modular, such as Plant Prefab and Module and some of these other companies that are out there doing these things. 3D printing. Where do you see outside of the online buyer's experience, right? That part's starting to happen. How do you see the technology growing in our space and helping move this along?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm going to take it in two different steps, hopefully. So one thing is that as the technology gets more complicated, as there are more smart home products, as there's more automation in the home, the more and more we need prefab, because off-site installation of these things is just not going to be very effective from a cost or operational standpoint. So if you have prefab, then you can do the design, you can have those things installed in the factory, you can have way better quality control. So, and it will just hopefully simplify the supply chain. I know a lot of the prefabricators and that I've been speaking to continue to recognize the innovation of Tesla as a car manufacturing facility. And I know more and more of them want to get into that type of, sort of disrupt in that type of way with the housing process. I spoke to Amit, who is the founder of a company called Veev, V-E-E-V. And the way that he is rethinking all the processes is really, really spectacular. And part of one of my Forbes articles, from using different materials for the walls and to 3D printing as a finish for the walls and for all the surfaces, and taking technology and leveraging it in a way to really, really reduce the cost, because you don't have those same offsite pressures that you would on-site installation challenges that you would have typically. So he's just rethinking it, starting from scratch, and then building a process around that. So it's really cool to see how certain people are using technology in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And do you see the suppliers and the manufacturers starting to collaborate on product itself? In other words, do we really need 4x8 sheets of plywood if we're building in a controlled factory environment with, automated machine? Couldn't we have a 20-foot by 30-foot piece of plywood? And, so do you see the supply chain actually looking to be the innovators for new technology in this space? Or are you looking at the younger manufacturing companies that are coming online, or the European contingent that's coming over?
It's a good question. I think Laura Dwyer is out there doing things. And I think, you mentioned Brian at Module, Brian Gaudio.
Yeah.
I think that they've been working together to think through some of that. But I haven't, and maybe it just hasn't come across in front of me yet, but I haven't seen manufacturers pushing it. It's more of a pull process from the builders. But and I haven't even seen much of that happening yet.
Right.
So hopefully it starts.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just makes sense, right? I mean, I think the innovators, like you said, Laura Dwyer from DuPont, and I think they worked on the Blackstreet project with Brian over at Module for that project. But I do think that the innovators are going to have to help reshape the manufacturing side of this, especially if they can get their data and their machines to talk with the raw material and so forth. I do believe that it can really change how we build things and move things along. So big words on the street right now. DFMA, right? Design for Manufacturing Assembly. These are, using new technology, using BIM, 3D automated software to design. We got people like Joel Hutchins, who's on, from Splash Modular, and they're doing kind of a cloud-based version of pods where it's almost open source, where all these architects can collaborate on designs that have already been proven and tested, which speeds up design time 50, 60%, or what have you. What are you seeing on your end, as far as the technology that we're using today? And do you see it getting better and growing into more virtual reality, augmented reality, things of that nature?
Yes. And I'm so glad you asked that, because one, I know of someone I was talking to with an advisory group last week who's looking for a solution. And I'm just hoping that somebody has this or knows of it, that will take a drawing and put it into and convert it. So it's more of, I don't know if this exists. I feel like it does somewhere out there, but convert it to be manufactured. So, but to your question specifically, I do see a lot of that. And I was on a presentation this morning and know of a very cool project that I was told I can't say names about yet.
Come on.
But I know. So, someone who's doing a concept of a 2,800 square foot townhome, has worked very hard on doing the fire rated walls, in panelized, and has a 2,800 square foot townhome that would take 4 hours to construct. It's net zero. They're still running the performance numbers on it. But it is would fit on 6.5 trucks. And I was seeing, like, they were showing me the actual design, broke apart the cartridges. Just down to every single detail. And it has all of the MAP, all of the communications in place, so that when it is delivered on site with these 6 trucks, that everything is fit together seamlessly. They were showing me in the design software how that's going to work. And I think, yes, all of that is evolving hand in hand. And I think it's amazing. Right.
Yeah, well, it really is. There's quite a few that we've had on the show as well that's doing that. You can see down to the actual washers on the bolts, the detail. So when they are designing this, when they are laying out their MEPs and all their runs in their locations, basically the idea is let's design it on the computer, 2 times, 3 times, and not redesign it in the field where it really costs money, time, and skilled labor. And there's a big push for new technology coming on. I was actually writing in here, Jennifer, is there technology to convert current, I guess, call it what, plans or designs into 3? And so I can put it up there so maybe we can get somebody to answer your question.
Yes, please.
Is there technology to convert current designs into manufacturing designs, I guess?
That will go into the manufacturing equipment.
Yeah.
That would be.
Oh, see, we don't plan all this out, everybody.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. You know what? This is all important stuff, and that's why people are watching. The whole idea is that we're able to connect people. And if we can connect people and we can solve a problem for you and you can solve a problem for somebody else and we can collaborate and we can move this industry forward and get out of last place when it comes to technology and innovation, because we're in last place as an industry. How cool is that? Right? So there, I have it up. Is there technology to convert current design? I should have an S on that. That would go into manufacturing designs. Mm-hmm. I'll fix my my grammar and then we'll keep moving. In fact, I'll put it in the ticker. So, all right, moving on here. So we have this. Let me finish it, and we are gonna get to the next topic. All right, so we talked about the technology, we talked about the manufacturing, we talked about a little bit about DFMA. I'm going to put your ticker up here that we just created. Now, how does this all translate into the home buyer, right? What is the home buyer's experience if all of this starts coming together? And even on that aspect, right? There's like the Sicilian partners out there. There's people now that are taking the home buying experience to a whole new level when it comes to being a builder, as opposed to, well, build it and forget it. What are your thoughts on the home buying experience moving forward?
So yeah, so this actually, again, ties into something that I published on Forbes recently, but more and more, I think Dwell is a perfect example of this. I talked to Matt Howland and Kurt Goodjohn about the process that they're creating, which is basically a consumer can design their house online, and then they get some assistance in the design process, and they can do a lot of customization in the Dwell program. But basically, it comes down to just hitting a button, and that order will go to feed into the manufacturing facility. The manufacturing facility will send a bill of materials out, which will come back. All of this is all connected, and then the home is then built, and the customer can come to the manufacturing facility, walk the project. And during the building process, Matt was telling me that they get pictures of it. They're involved in all of this, even though it happens a lot faster than a normal on-site. And even though a normal on-site construction is a lot more stressful for a home buyer, but all the decisions have to be made up front. It's manufactured. The consumer then, and I think this is maybe the special highlight of Dwell, has different technologies and smart home automation built into their home that helps them with maintenance and all these other things that builds a more long-lasting relationship between the consumer and the builder at this point. So
Right.
It, just like you said, it's not just deliver a home and walk away, but it becomes this ongoing service, your home as a service.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Dwell is doing.
Yeah, and you know what? It to me, it's absolutely brilliant, right? I always looked at business if you don't have referrals and you don't have that repeat customer, and there are repeat customers in home building, then you're a startup every year is how we always looked at it. And to me, it makes a whole lot of sense because you have first-time home buyers, you have move-up home buyers, you got empty nesters, right? There's life cycles that happen over the course of years, and if you treat people the way they should be treated, and you help them live in their home and home as a service, as you said, it just makes sense. It's going to help you move further along. It's going to get you more referrals, and it's just going to be a better customer client experience. And people are used to it now, right? Apple, they're doing it. Everybody's doing it. So it's not a matter of should you. I mean, you're going to have to soon. People just are not going to tolerate not being treated, as they're being treated in other parts of different industries.
Right. No doubt.
For sure. Okay, let's hop to some more comments and questions. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Ron Williams, is there a danger of builders losing uniqueness of their product and moving to offsite modular?
Absolutely not. No way. I mean, it's maybe even gives you a better edge. So one of the things too that I think I was explaining before, that it might allow you more flexibility to try or innovate in terms of design. So I don't know, Ron, exactly what you're thinking, but maybe that with offsite manufacturing, that everything is plopped out exactly the same. I don't think that's the case either. I think the builders that I've been talking to have very, very distinct and different projects. Dave before mentioned Steve Glenn from Plant Prefab, and Steve is working with architects from all over the world to design these modular homes, and they all are super unique. Then you have modular homes that are very focused on the sustainability equation and are completely net zero. Then there are others that are focused on the affordability issue. So I think, no, that's my answer. Thank you for your question, Ron. I think that you can still be unique in many different ways.
Love it. Love it. All right. We have another comment. Tom Reddy, Synergy Steel sells to GCs, developers, and modular builders to support safety schedules and cost reduction, collaboration with all through technology, lean concept manufacturing installations. What do you see as ways to push these concepts into the virtual marketplace?
Mm.
Collaboration.
So I'm rereading. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Technology, lean concepts, manufacturing, and installation. So is that maybe just more of a marketing and sales question?
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of opportunities to do that. And because the offsite process would probably change the dynamics of how people usually work with some of their suppliers or contractors, you should start with the builders and understand what their relationships are. How much are they doing offsite versus onsite? Because that's a really big dynamic. That's a big difference between builders as well. Some of them are, leaving all of, only doing panels, or, just totally depends on what their business model is and who they still need to have involved in what stage of the process. So I think there's still lots of opportunities, but I think starting with the builder is probably the way to go. Dave, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I think it's more in the marketing side and how this all gets integrated, together and how it reaches out. But I agree with your comments on that. And Tom, if we didn't answer your question, do a follow up or clarify. We just want to make sure that we do answer it. Hey, look at that. Speak of them. Ron Buckley. Good afternoon, Jennifer, Dave, and Jennifer, tuning in between meetings and time to hear about 3D printing and Tesla. Nice. Keep up the good work. You know what? I want to go back to Tesla. So, hey, Vaughn, hope you're still there. Thanks for giving us a shout out and joining the conversation. So with the whole Tesla concept, right? Because that seems to be the standard anymore. It really does. It seems to be the standard on Tesla pushing the envelope. It seems like they can change their industry on a dime. They can send people to the moon in private, I guess, rocket ships now and what have you. How is the industry going to keep up with that? Right? How is the industry going to keep up with that concept? Because why can't we have that in homes? Like, why on God's creation do we have change orders when you can plan something so far out that you can send a satellite 10 years into space to land exactly where it needs to land on Mars? Why do we struggle with it so much?
It's amazing, but I think, those aren't the only examples. So let's look at Tesla. So They are, they have their manufacturing facility in California, and they've also asked to build a very large manufacturing facility in California. But because of costs and regulations, they're moving to Texas. And so and that's already happening in housing. It's not, it's, and so more and more builders, because of the regulations in states like California, are having to go other places because it's just the margins can't be there when there's so many obstacles. But I want to take another example. So look at Uber. They basically said, we're going to operate this way. And the regulations changed around them. They started operating and the regulations changed. And so I guess maybe one of those models will work for housing, or both, I will cry maybe if I hear the word unprecedented again, but there's so many unique things that are happening this year, and that might be forcing the hand. And then we have an election in front of us. So that might be some of the dynamics that will be changing, or help enforce change, motivate.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think if we keep talking about it and we keep having these conversations, and there's events that are popping up about new technology and offsite, I think, hopefully we keep gaining steam on it and really get to a better way of building. I think it's so important. And this affordable housing crisis is not getting any better. Right. Something has to change for us to get to where we need to be on that. All right. So with that, something changing, affordable housing, challenges with governmental regulation and zoning. That's another topic, right? Are we seeing challenges, with the government regulation, zoning issues, things of that nature?
Yeah. So I think, there's landmark changes happening across the country right now. I mean, you look at Portland, that they just removed single family zoning, and they did it in a way that is setting a huge example. Before they were, I think, 70% single family, and they changed their regulation is changing right now, as of last week, to be to set a new, set a new foundation for how the rest of the country thinks about it. So it's pretty exciting that things like that are happening. But the zoning, there has to be a better understanding of what modular is and prefabrication is, so that the regulation doesn't stop builders or slow them down in this process, because the demand is so high for more affordable housing that it just is like, it's a gimme. It's so easy for something like that to change.
It really is, and we talk about this once a month kind of on the show. I don't know if you know it, but we have Greg Ugaldi, the media past chairman, on once a month. And they actually committed to being on the show once a month, which has been absolutely wonderful, because we have the opportunity to actually talk with everybody at the top of the food chain in Washington, D.C. And there's so much politics and regulation out there. And I'm really starting to understand how all of this comes together, and the fight for the zoning and the fight for the regulations, and to stop making it so stringent and hard to get things done, not only at a federal level, but at a state level. All the states have different rules and regulations, and they should, because there's different weather climates and zones that would dictate certain things. But really clarifying what offsite construction is, because we have it in our industry as well. You have communities that say, oh yeah, no, you can't have a modular home, even if they don't know that it's different than a manufactured home, or, the same as a site built home, or any of that. Do you see anything happening from your angle, from Hanley Wood, from others out there that are working on zoning, working on code issues? Like, who do you know that's actually fighting for us as builders out here to make those changes?
Yeah, I only know of NHB. So as Hanley Wood, as an organization, we'll bring together various parties to discuss it, but we're just a media and data group. Yeah. So we give visibility to the things that are happening, but we're not, we don't go to the Hill and advocate for it. So that's kind of our role in the picture. But we are doing, like I mentioned before, we do have events, and we are bringing together various groups. I did mention, you just put it on the ticker. Thank you. We have the Multifamily Executive Conference that's coming up, and registration, we just transitioned it to a virtual event. So it's now free, and it's September 30th to October 2nd. And there's a modular session on the development day, which is, we have talent and leadership on the first day, and then the development on the third day, and technology on the second day. So John Westrom will be on Westrom Development, and Caleb Root will also be on talking about modular construction and some of the projects that they've done, and showing sort of really, really getting into the numbers and the metrics and comparing it to on-site.
Why don't I have one of their projects up, the Brewery Town time lapse? Why don't I show that so everybody has an idea who they are? So they do some big projects.
Yeah, this is John Westram's group.
Yeah, it's only 25 seconds, but no need to play the sound with it.
Yeah,
but this building is all modular.
Yeah, and he works in Philadelphia, and he's been doing a lot of projects in the Philadelphia area, and just really, really a great voice for modular, and he's willing to share anything, and he's been really good at helping the industry progress.
Right. So they're going to be there talking about what they do. That's great. And so how many days is the session? You said it's the 30th through the 2nd. And how does the programming going to work on that? Because is it all like an online collaborative virtual event, or is it kind of just meeting rooms that you can join?
It's all virtual event, and there will be no breakouts. It's just 3 days of programming, like 3 or 4 hours per day. And so you can come in and out and see the sessions that you want to see. But it starts on that Wednesday, the 30th. And so we have content Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And like I said, it's free registration. And there are different features of the event where you can still network with other attendees and see who the sponsors are and visit the sponsors and things like that.
Love it. Love it. All right, great. And then there's also another event, but I think let's hold off on that one and get to a few more comments. We had one person comment. I just got handed something. Patrick Donahue. Here we go. I do not think existing designs can easily be converted into DFMA with machine code ready designs. However, when the design process starts with the right software tool, it becomes pretty simple.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else out there, let us know, and please reach out to Jennifer, to help out and let her know that you're reaching out to talk about these things, because if nothing does exist, maybe something should. So there you go for you technology people out there. There's a great idea to come up with a solution, because there's a lot of plans that probably need converted, right? Just remember, you heard it right here. If it does happen on Dave Cooper Live. All right, we got some more stuff here. Jenny, who we have? So we have Daniel Small. Let me go here. There's a lot of banner behind the scenes going on.
Uh-oh.
No, you know what? It's funny, Jennifer. This is what happens. Sometimes I don't even think they log in to hear us speak. They're just logging in because there's this whole back conversation, and I got to try and figure out where I fit in. Danny Small put up, someone in construction can do what Tesla did in auto if they approach it like Tesla did, with a ton of money, deep understanding of the job customers are hiring the solution to do, and zero concern for the way it's always been done.
So that's kind of like I was talking to before about the Uber mentality. Like they zero concern for the way that things have been done. Just the regulation will move around you.
Yeah, it really will. It definitely will. Who else do we have in here? Let's say hi to Ken. He's another modular guy. He's been doing a lot of great stuff. Hey, Ken, glad you're joining us today. It's Impressa Modular Homes. Now, this is somebody else who's done something different, right? Ken has franchised modular construction across the country. He started a franchise, Impressa modular franchise, I think it is. He'll kill me if I don't get it right, but that's all right. But again, he's found a way to put a system in place so more people can enter in the world of offsite, which I think is interesting as well. I mean, there is innovation happening. There is different ways of thinking happening.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, from your point, from a manufacturing standpoint, are you seeing any innovation or hearing of any innovation out there that is kind of pushing the envelope on the manufacturing side yet?
So yeah, that's a good question too. And I know that talking to the various builders that they're looking into, like you were mentioning before, the equipment needs to match the new materials, needs to make the design more innovative or better performing, or, so I think that, we're on track to start this. However, I know someone recently told me that the manufacturing, if you go into a housing manufacturing facility, it looks like it's decades behind any other manufacturing facility. Yeah. So I think we have a long road ahead of us. But It's exciting too, because just like you said, anybody out there, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, well, there is, and it brings up, I'm going to plug Wednesday's show. We actually have Helena Lidlow, head of engineering at Lindback, going to be on the show with us. And if everything works out right, we'll actually have a tour of their production floor, which should be really, really interesting and really, really cool to see and do. I know a lot of people, if you're listening, Wednesday is going to be a great day. We are heading overseas. In fact, we have a couple of overseas engagements coming up where we're trying to show how they do it to everybody here, right? Because you can eat off some of their floors. They look so clean anyhow, the way they do it. It's just a different process. I don't recommend eating off floors, though. I know somebody will say something about that. Don't eat off their floors. I love it. All right, so we have some other. What's that? Oh, wear the mask?
Yeah.
All right, so what about this session? Making modular work with Caleb Rupe, President and CEO of specific companies. All right, so this is the one we were talking about.
Yes.
Perfect. So I know I had it loaded up in there. Well, listen, Jennifer, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. Do you believe it's been 53 minutes already?
No, it's been a blast. But I do want to use we're talking about that session, but we do also have the Builder 100 conference, where that's for production builders. It's November 2nd through 4th. And right now it is still scheduled as a live event in Dana Point, California.
Yeah.
We have a session with Steve Glenn at Plant Prefab and Katera,
Okay.
Sarah with Katera. And we will be talking about production efficiencies. And so they'll be, bringing in hopefully some new ideas. And I think another thing that's kind of just speaking of, Katera has just opened all these timber facilities. And just another challenge for all of us to think about is that timber prices are going insane. So
yeah, they are going insane.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, I'm sure,